Time to work on devlog number 5. It's about time I get to work on something that I've been dreading for a long time, and that's making my own AI for this game. From this game's conception, I've seen it as one of the biggest challenges that I would have to face, but I think it's time I face that challenge. I started out by making these individual character objects. On these I can specify all the details for the character, from their name and customization items to their stats, and these will all translate to their own individual character cards. Then I made a character set component, where I can add any combination of 5 character objects that I just made. Doing it this way, I had the idea that even though you might be facing several different AI with a lot of their own decks, you might face familiar characters that you've seen before. Think of it like when you're playing Wii Sports or something and you run into Matt and you're like, oh, I'm playing Matt again. Then I made a new AI game object, and I gave him his own deck and a randomly drawn hand of cards. But just like the player, he'll always draw a character first. Then he spawns in a character. Well, he's supposed to only spawn the one character that he drew, and the characters are all facing the wrong way. But we're on the right track, because you can see each of the characters has their own unique customizations that I specified before. But the idea is that the AI will pick a random spawn hex and place a character on that, and he'll have a chance to draw a new character each turn. After spending a while doing that, I got it working. So all I have to do is end my own turn, and the AI opponent will automatically place whatever character card they have in their hand on a random spawn hex, and this time he'll be facing the right way. Then it was time to do some AI pathfinding. The basic idea I have at the start is the AI will take each of their characters and find the closest target, and then calculate a path to that target for them. I had to refactor a lot of my coding logic to make this work, but you can see this character properly finds his way to my character. The next step was to make it so that if the character had any energy remaining when he made it, he should automatically attack. And just like that, we've got our first signs of actual opposition for the player. Eventually I'll factor in other rules that determine what the character should attack. For example, if there's an opponent on low health, they should probably prioritize that. Or maybe if the character has fire damage, then they try to target a character that doesn't have any fire resistance. After this, I made it so that if the AI has 2 character cards, he spawns them one after the other, and then those characters take turns with their moves. This wasn't very difficult to do at all, and I can change the time in between these moves as I see fit. Now for testing reasons, I made it so that the AI opponent can spawn all 5 characters on their first turn. I did so by giving them unlimited energy and giving them a 100% chance to draw a new character card. And so far, things are working as I hoped they would. They all spawn in separately and move individually. Look at him. Poor guy. Sorry buddy, I can't help you. I'm not in control here. Next on the list was to start making equipment cards work. I started with weapon card. I gave the AI a list of each of the usable cards in their hand. This was based on the energy they had remaining, and a check on each of the characters on the field to see if they already had a weapon or not. If the card was deemed usable, it's added to the list, and the AI picks at random from that list of usable cards, and finds a suitable character to use it on. So in this case, they're adding all the weapons in their hand to that list of usable cards, and picking one at random to use on a character that doesn't already have a weapon. Then I added this visual feature, where the cards all move to their spot first and then are used, and I also added a fast forward option when you hold spacebar, which just lessens the time in between each action. Then I essentially just copy-pasted all the functionality for the weapon onto the other equipment pieces. But I made it so that they all get added to that list that I was talking about before of usable cards, and this is how it'll be with all the usable cards for the AI. They should all be added to the same list and then picked at random, with more rules later on that help determine which ones should be used. This guy's having a really bad day. Sorry again, man, but it is pretty funny. Then I made the AI use buff and debuff cards. Buffs work the same where it finds a suitable character to use it on. As for debuffs, I made it simple for now by finding a random enemy to use it on. But again, I'll add more rules to it later on. Working with trap cards next, I added a little detail where they're invisible once they're placed out unless they're stepped on. Or discovered, as I would call it. I don't know if I've mentioned trap cards in a previous video, but yeah, they're in the game. Now that the AI is in a good spot, it's time to work on some more gameplay elements, like making elemental effects. So I started by making this poison sword, which I plan to have a chance to poison the enemy based on luck. And luck is a new stat that I'm adding that will determine the chance to add any kind of debuffs from weapons or effects like this. So for example, I gave my character the poison sword here, and I also gave him 50 luck, which would translate to around a 50% chance to apply the debuff. And after 2 swings, he managed to apply the poison debuff to the enemy, just based on his luck in having a poison sword. And of course, that debuff would stack if you managed to apply it more than once. I also took some time to try and redo the character UI screen. There was a problem where I wasn't able to show all the stats that I wanted to, and I plan to have a lot of stats available to see, like the luck stat I just added and maybe some resistances later. The old UI was kind of limiting and didn't really show what I wanted, so I'm going to try out this new style to see if it works better. I also moved the buffs and debuffs down to the bottom. I think I like this style better, especially because I have some ideas for later on that this would definitely work better for. Then I went ahead and started drawing the icon that I'd use to represent luck. For obvious reasons, I went with a 4-leaf clover, because I'm very original, but also because it's a lot easier for the players to recognize. And when I finished drawing this one, I added it to the new UI screen, as well as a couple of other components that are going to be necessary, like the armor that for now I placed right under the health. Then I changed one of my equipment pieces to alter these new stats, so now this blue shirt adds both luck and armor. And when I equip it onto the player, just like everything before it affects his stats. And he now has improved luck and armor. Then I addressed something that I said I would in like the second devlog or something, involving the movement. I don't think movement should be based off of a button, because it can get kinda tedious, especially when trying to move a lot of characters. So I changed it to an easy little click and drag movement. And because of this, I no longer needed that move button in there, so I removed it. And that's all for this devlog. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And don't be afraid to tell me what you think. Post a comment with an idea, or maybe feedback on one of my ideas. And if you like what I'm making and you want to see more, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.